All right, what up, y'all? Today we're going to be talking about stocks versus the 401k, why I prefer stocks much more than 401k. But to start it off, so the agenda, we're mainly going to talk about what is a stock, what are 401ks, or what is a 401k, the pros and cons to each of them, and kind of balance them together, and then a portfolio plan, what I'm personally doing and what I tell other people close to me to do. So, what is a stock? You're just owning a piece of a company. So, the way you make money off owning stocks is through dividends, which is passive income. So, if you get a 3% dividend yield, if you put it in $1,000, you get $30 a year on top of whatever the actual share goes up, which is appreciation. Appreciation is the main way you make money on stocks. If you buy a share for $10 and then 10 years later you want it to be higher than what you bought it for, it could be 20, 30, 40, $100, depending on what company you pick and if you pick the right one. So think of stocks as ownership in a company. Now, what exactly is a 401k? A 401k is kind of the same thing. 401ks can own stocks depending on how you balance your approach. But it's a retirement savings plan offered by employers. It allows you to set aside a portion of your paycheck before taxes are taken out and invest money into things like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and you basically give it to someone else to kind of they manage it for you. But so the pros and cons. So the stock market is going to average about 10% annually. I think it's like 10.5 since 1990 or something like that. But it's been 10% for over 100 years. Liquidity. So imagine you're saving up for a house and you don't know where to put your money, and in 10 years you save up $200,000 and you want to buy a house. If you've been using your 401k as savings and you pull that money out, you're going to get taxed because you pulled out before you were 59 and a half, on top of taxed as your uh, a capital gains or a long-term capital gains. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how that works, but you're taxed two different times. But if you're in the stock market, you don't get penalized for pulling out. You just get your regular tax. Whether if it's over a year, you get long-term capital gains. If it's under a year, you get short-term capital gains. The longer you hold it, the less taxes you pay. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you want a stock, if you want your money right now, you can sell everything with a snap of a finger or a click of a button, and it's gone. No contribution limits. Sorry. So the 401k, you can max it out. So it looks like it's going to be anywhere from 23 to 30, depending on what your employer matches, and your matches can exceed like 66, depending if they match. That is the good thing about a 401k is they do match. So say if you put in $500 a month, they'll match you 500. But if you put 600, they're still just going to give you 500. So that's a good way to look at it. But yeah, so if you want to put $100,000 of your money into the stock market and buy different companies, you can do all that. But if you want to put $100,000 into a 401k, it's going to take you years to put that in because you can max it out. Control. So you do have control of your 401k because you can pick where it goes in certain circumstances. But with your money in the stock market, you choose. You're like, hey, I like this company. Hey, I think the medical field is going to do good. Hey, I think Zoom's a good company. I think Pfizer's a good company. I think Coca-Cola's here to stay. You can just buy those individual companies, and it gives you a better sense of security. Not security, but more of a control standpoint. And then cash flow dividends. Uh, if you wanted to, the best way to have dividends is just to reinvest them until it's like a substantial amount that you're going to be creating each month or each quarter or each semi-annually 6 months. But dividends, if you want cash flow, you can get that cash flow before you're 59 and a half. So say you have $100,000 spread out, you get 3% dividend, you get 3 grand a year just to own something. So keep that in mind. Those are all the good things about owning a stock. So it's the growth. Traditionally it grows more than a 401k. It's easier to sell. You can sell with the click of a button. No contribution limits. You can put in as much as you want. You have control. You know exactly where your money is. And then cash flow dividends. So if you want to make money in cash flow, that's a great way to make a little extra money. All right, now the cons. So the risk, with higher risk comes higher reward. Uh, but this is also picking the right company can truly save your life and change your life. Investing in a 401k is a very safe alternative, and you should. But picking the right company in a handful of right companies, you only have to be right once. You hear the Nvidias, the Apples, the Microsofts, all these big companies, Coca-Colas. People that were putting in $2,000-3,000 30 years ago now have $1 million+. But it's hard to make life changing money unless you have a crazy salary. So for normal people, that's why I suggest buying into some stocks and some common stocks. not to gamble it, but just try and get ahead. Because with the 401k, it's hard, you know what I mean? And you're going to wait till you're 50, 59 and a half at least to get it out. But taxes, also, that is a con because if you sell before 1 year, so if you buy right now, December 19th, 2024, and you sell in May of 25, you're going to get a bigger tax. It's a short-term tax. Depending on the bracket, it can be up to 40%, 20 to 40%, somewhere in there, depending on how much money you make. Obviously, the more money you make, the more you're going to get taxed. But if you hold longer than that, it's then considered long-term capital gains, which it goes lower and lower and lower. So that's something to keep in mind, which also in the 401ks, you get taxed just the same because you put that money in and it's not taxed when you put it in. So when you pull it out, you're getting taxed. And who knows what taxes are going to be in 30 years when it matures. And then on top of that, if you need that money and you pull it out before 59 and a half, you're going to get a penalty. It'll be like a 10% penalty. So it all evens out in my head, maybe not all the way, but I think the gains from owning stocks outweigh the tax purposes for a 401k. So emotions, this is the hardest thing with owning common stocks and companies, because you're so in control of what you own, your brain can play tricks on you into when to sell, and you'll get scared out of positions when all you got to do is take a step back. I've done this multiple times, and I think I've learned my lesson, but I still learn my lesson every few months. You know what I mean? I sell a company when I shouldn't have, and then the company goes up 40%. So that's something to think about. If you don't really have control over your emotions and your money, you should only be investing what you can afford to lose, even though you aren't going to be like losing everything. It isn't roulette. But invest what you can afford to lose, and just find companies that's been around for 50 plus years that are strong, and it's really a great way. It can truly change your life. That's what I believe. But yeah, so that's the cons. It is riskier, but comes with more reward. The taxes can be higher if you sell them in a short term. So if you sell them within a year, the taxes are going to be pretty rough. So all the day traders, swing traders, like a lot of the capital gains I have, they're short-term capital gains. So I'm going to get taxed pretty good on them. And then your emotions. If you aren't in check with your emotions, you can make some pretty big mistakes. But yeah, so the best way the best way that I would suggest is kind of this breakdown. I personally don't do a 401k, but it's because my employer doesn't have that. I'm still in school right now. So when I start with a company and let's say they match me $500 a month from a 401k, I will be matching $500 with them. But I won't go much over that, because if you put in 500 and they match 500, you just made $500. And yeah, you can't get it to your 59, but it isn't my whole savings. I'm still saving. So this is something that I would suggest. So 40% ETFs, 20% individual stocks, 20% 401k or whatever the match is, and then hold cash. Hold cash is probably the biggest thing, because in order to make those life-changing money, you have to be able to deploy cash when everyone says the financial world is ending. BlackRock, I think they were worth like $1 trillion in 2008 or something like that, which is crazy to begin with. But they just deployed everything. When all these companies were 80% off, 90% off, they just bought everything. And now they're worth like 15, 18 trillion, something like that, in a decade. So taking the risk when stuff goes down is how you can change your life. I'm probably never going to make $250,000 a year, but investing can truly give me the success that a lot of people have that make more money than me. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's something to think about. Yeah, so I would max out your 401k if you have one. But if people aren't matching you, you can just create your own retirement account. You can buy ETFs if you're nervous about picking individual companies and you don't know what to buy. So you can buy the SPY or the VOO, the SPY or the VOO. They're just a collection of the top 500 companies in America. I personally do have an account doing that. I have a $100 a week account buying those ETFs. And then the individual stocks, that's how you can kind of mix it up and buy companies you believe in. I read One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. It's probably my favorite investment book. It's that one, and then the Intelligent Investor. But he talks about the credit card consumer, an American credit card consumer, something like that. But you see things before Wall Street does. He was talking about how he saw Dunkin' Donuts, how he saw some Hanes products. He sees them out on the street before the price moves on Wall Street, before anyone gets ahead of it. So if you see something in your life and you're like, man, I really like this product, I really like this company, just do a little research, check it out, and then maybe throw a little money into it. 5% of your whole portfolio or something like that. But something to think about. Thank y'all for watching. Remember, stay balanced, and just like and sub.